assets, opportunities even, that you may lose.
You must ask yourself if you love the people, because the only thing that can bind you to the people you serve is love. Ambition is not enough.
I have discovered the power of kindness, and that has made me a radical optimist. That's why I stay away from politics and from religion.
Countries that take unilateral action or coercive action
actually like Pinoy personally.
It's not a beauty contest who's ahead of who, but to...
Once upon a time, we were all irrelevant. And I sincerely believe that there will come a time we will all return to the dark embrace of irrelevance.
Martin's Man Cave.
That started my reawakening. Yung first quarter storm na tinatawag.
Welcome to the 80th episode of Martin's Man Cave here on podcast.ph. Our guest is retired Brigadier General Victor Corpus. He was born on October 4, 1944 in San Pablo, Laguna, and he currently lives here in Manila. He finished his elementary and secondary education at the De La Salle University and took up his master's degree in public administration at Harvard University in 1990. He also graduated at the Philippine Military Academy in 1967. He gained prominence in 1970 when, as an instructor at the academy, he joined the New People's Army. But he became disillusioned with the Communist Party of the Philippines leadership and surrendered to his mista in 1976. He was tried by the Military Tribunal No. 1 and sentenced to death by musketry with Ninoy Aquino and Bernabe Buscaino in 1977. After spending years in the military prison, approximately 10 years, he was released and reinstated in the Armed Forces of the Philippines in 1987 by the President Corazon Aquino. He held various posts in the Armed Forces of the Philippines during the 1990s and was eventually appointed Chief of Military Intelligence, or ISAF, by the former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. After retiring from the military, he was appointed as head of the Veterans Affairs Office in Washington, D.C. in August of 2009. His colorful life was made or produced into film in 1987, which starred the late Rudy Fernandez. He also wrote two books, The Silent War and U.S. Dim Mac Points, Unrestricted Warfare in the 21st Century. He received numerous awards such as the Distinguished Service Star, Gawad sa Kaunlaran, Military Civic Action Medal, Dean of Academics Awards, Aurora Aragon Quezon Peace Awards, and Certificate of Academic Excellence, and much more. Without further ado, General Victor Corpus. Thank you so much for accepting our invite to be interviewed and documented here inside Martin's Man Cave on podcast.ph, the Lifecast. Welcome, sir.
You're welcome, Martin.
Before we talk about your adventures in life, can you please tell us something about your parents?
Well, my father was an army doctor. He graduated at Ateneo and then took up medicine in UST. Eventually became the Army Surgeon General before his retirement. And my mother is a simple housewife. She took care of the family.
Do you have siblings?
Yes, I have one brother, Celestino, and two sisters, Catalina and Mary.
And they're here in Manila too.
Yes, all of them.
All of them. Tell us about your elementary and high school days in LaSalle.
Well, those are one of my my happiest days in my life. Kasi carefree and parang walang problema ang mundo. The situation is very ideal. So I thought then that society is like that in microcosm. But I was shocked when I saw the real world outside.
And you saw the real world after the Philippine Military Academy or just before that?
When I went to the Philippine Military Academy, that started my reawakening. Because before I graduated from high school, I asked my parents' permission to join the seminary. I wanted to join the Jesuit order after reading that about the life of Saint or Father Damien of Mulucay. But my mother advised me because his grandfather was a PMA graduate, his brother was a PMA graduate, and two of her brothers also joined the military, one in the Philippine Constabulary and the other died during the war. And my father is also in the military, so my parents advised me to why not take the PMA entrance exam.
Let's continue the legacy.
If you fail, then you do what you want. So you can become a priest if you want. So, fortunately or unfortunately, I passed the exam in PMA when even before I graduated from high school. So I entered the PMA as a high school graduate. Immediately after graduation from high school, maybe 1 week after, I already entered the PMA as a plebe.
And you are the only one in the family who joined the military.
Yes. Yeah.
What did your sisters end up doing?
My sister got married to a PMA graduate also.
Oh, okay.
And my other sister married a Chinese.
So it really runs in the family, this military tradition.
Yeah.
Do you have any children who joined the military?
Well, two of my sons passed the entrance exam for PMA. But my eldest, Jack, only took the exam to find out if he can pass it. When he passed it, he said that he's not really interested in joining the military. So I did not force him. My second son, Kaloy, passed the entrance exam, but he failed in the physical because he had asthma at that time. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise because if they had entered and my name was very notorious at that time, they would have suffered a lot.
I could just imagine the young Victor Corpus.
But my youngest son was really very interested. Even before he took the entrance exam, he already underwent airborne training with the Marines. And he has already memorized all the nomenclatures of all the fighter planes of Russia, US, China. And he had read all my books on strategy because when I had a chance to go to the United States, all my allowances I spent on military books. So all my collection, it is my son that is reading it because I did not have time to read all of them. So he was really very prepared and very enthusiastic. But his health, actually he was an athlete in LaSalle. He was a member of the track and field team there, speed runner. And a marathoner, but unfortunately, he was suffering from asthma, and if you join the PMA with asthma, you might die.
Yeah, because of the
strenuous, very strenuous physical requirements.
You have 3 kids, 3 children. One is Cynthia. Tell us more about Cynthia.
Yeah, Cynthia is my youngest among the 3. She finished information technology and then accounting. And right now, she's full-time helping me, and she is my co-inventor in a patent that we applied for regarding an alternative form of energy.
And we will talk about that alternative form of energy later on.
Yeah.
If I don't mention your wife, Melly, she might get mad at you when you when you get home.
It's the most important.
The most important is the wife. So ano naging role ni Melly nung kayo
I met Melly when I was engaged in anti-demonstration at the time. I was with the Special Forces of the Philippine Constabulary. And sometimes we get deployed as anti-riot squads. At that time, I was already aware of what's happening in our society because of my education in Philippine Military Academy. She was a member of the Kabataan Makabayan at that time. But there was a split, and they formed the breakaway faction of Kabataan Makabayan, the Samahang Demokratikong Kabataan, or SDK. At the time led by Sixto Carlos. They demonstrate against American imperialism, feudalism, and bureaucrat capitalism. Those were the issues at that time. We were the ones assigned as anti-riot squads. So kami yung
tagapalo
ng mga ulo nila pagka naging unruly yung demonstration. There was one time when
parang pelikula lang
the demonstrations became so violent that 4 of their comrades were killed. Yung first quarter storm na tinatawag. So, after the demonstration, mag-off duty na ako, sila naman, magmi-meet kami. Tapos, kasama ko siyang nagbibisita dun sa mga namatay na mga kasama nila. So, that's how...
You met her during the demonstration. When was this? 1960?
This was 1969.
69. So talagang by chance that you just saw her and you said, oops, I don't know.
I was invited by Crispin Tagamulila to attend yung kanilang mga discussion groups at that time. So doon nag-develop yung aming relationship. We decided to get married after a few days courtship, yung underground marriage. Ang nag-officiate ng aming kasal, yung dati kong professor sa PMA, si Dante Simbulan, Dr. Dante Simbulan.
So from LaSalle, you joined the Philippine Military Academy. Medyo nasa gobyerno ka nun. And then In 1969, there was
Ye-
the demonstrations happened. You met your wife.
Yeah, this is how I changed ideology, no?
Before you talk about that, let's take a short break.
Okay.
Let's just bitinin natin ng konti ang ating mga viewers.
Okay.
You're watching Martin's Man Cave here on podcast.ph. Again, you can listen to us through iTunes. You can download us for free. You can also go to Podomatic or Spreaker. Just type podcast.ph programs. Go straight to our YouTube account, podcast.ph, if you want to watch this episode. Or the best way, or the easiest way, probably just go to our website, which is www.podcast.ph, or our Facebook account, podcast.ph, and you can watch the episode with General Victor Corpus. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
This economic elite control the instrumentalities of government and use it to preserve and protect their narrow vested interests. One of the instrumentalities of government is the armed forces. What kind of orders missions do we get? Patayin mo si ganito, patayin mo si ganyan. To give you one example,